Big love, much respect, everybody. So I want to do a few installations to add more support to the Tarot-tory's system that I've come to learn and appreciate, and in my own little way, I enjoy, which is kind of a twisted thing to say, considering the insights that are based on the system. But I do enjoy it. It has given some predictive value to my life and to my thoughts. So in that light, I enjoy it. And, you know, I'm not putting this out there as in any way, shape, or form as I told anybody anything. But I want to validate this concept and just point out its predictive value for others. And such that, I mean, it kind of goes without saying that everything we hear in the media is complete and utter bullshit. I don't think I have to tell anybody or convince anybody of that. However, there is a rhyme and a reason to the bullshit. And I think what the Tarot-tory's concept gives us is a framework for the truth, for the consistency of the archetypes that kind of give a skeleton or a form to the complete and utter lies that are fed to the truth-starved masses. And so as a result, if you put 50% bullshit on top of 50% truth and archetypal consistency, then the unwitting truth-starved masses will consume it happily, as the ring of truth is the foundation upon which a lot of bullshit is consumed. So I hope that makes sense for everybody. If you haven't seen my Tarot-tory's work, maybe go back a few videos and just kind of get a more rudimentary grasp of what I'm getting at here. So as I hold these concepts in my mind, they substantiate more and more over time. You know, I was talking to High Priestess Rachel, who lives in Colorado, and, you know, I just bounced it off of her that, you know, Colorado Springs in my North American map of the Tarot-tory's, that Colorado is right on the spring equinox line. And I mentioned that is kind of beautifully poetic, considering how many hot springs are in Colorado. And the sign for Aries that Colorado is located in looks like a spring. That ram, the sheep horns. And she confirmed it even further when she said, you know, the state animal is the long-horned ram. And that just about blew my mind. So we have quite a bit of consistency right there. And another concept kind of came across my radar recently. I was thinking about how we are entered into the age of Aquarius. And you could say that in the age of Aquarius, on the sign of Aquarius, is the Tower card and the Star card. Also, this would be over Texas in the Tarot-tory's map of North America. But temporally speaking, not in space, but in time, we are under the Star and the Tower cards. And I was contemplating the fact that the Hanged Man icon was flashed in front of everybody's eyes during the 9/11 ritual. And the Hanged Man is over here in Scorpio, representing a sting of betrayal. And so essentially what I see in that, and this may not have much to do, because New York is up here in the lion with the mane in New York, and New Rome is up here in the sign of Leo, having everything to do with the strength card. And you could say 9/11 was attacking our strength and our sovereignty up there in New York. But the Hanged Man is a sign under Scorpio, the kiss of betrayal. And the Hanged Man was symbolized by that individual falling out of the buildings, out of the tower. And so I just find it very profound that we had a kiss of betrayal symbol overlapped with the tower, which is the age that we have entered into. So it's a bit of a betrayal of this Aquarian paradigm that we're shifting into. I just found that very, valuable to see the archetypes that are being imprinted onto the collective mind. But getting back into the Tarot-tories, back into space, I consider this the overlay of the Tarot-tories, the maps, that is space. And the tarot and the zodiac, that is time. So I just want to go through some recent events. I've already pointed this out on quite a few other forums, and a lot of people are already aware that, the Travis Scott events from that Astro World concert, that name, Travis Scott, is too similar to be a coincidence to the word Tavistock. And a couple of icons were flashed into the collective consciousness at that event, and that was the death card, as people were dropping, spontaneously dying in that crowd. And in fact, the death card has the horse rider, who I call the flower rider. He is trampling over bodies. Oftentimes, it is depicted with people laying on the ground. See if I can get focus here. There, maybe. Has people laying on the ground. The royal family is laid out, and the horse rider is trampling over them. And I need to point out that the Travis Scott event happened under the sign of Scorpio, where the death card resides. It happened there in November. Or was it? Yeah, I think it was November. And also, they were picking up those victims of that event and carrying them out. It looked like dead people crowd surfing across the masses. And that is very much a Hanged Man icon. And so those two cards, the death card and the Hanged Man card, were overlaid into the Tavistock, Travis Scott Astro World event at the exact time of year where they belonged. So there's a lot of consistency involved in that fact. Whether they happened or not is not for me to decide. What degree of truth there is. What my point here is that the archetypes are very consistent. So also in the sign of Scorpio, in the world map, you will see that Australia, the land down under, is an expression of the Hanged Man card. And I'll bring some graphics forward to kind of substantiate these points that I'm trying to make. But the land down under, was receiving quite a bit of attention and press and stress, and a lot of triggering is going on down there. And I do believe that those stories are based on quite a bit of alarming truth. But it is very significant that in November, all of that negative death and Hanged Man iconography was being triggered and utilized in the collective, right on schedule for these archetypes to reverberate through the collective conscious. So next I want to talk about a recent appearance I had on Chance Garton's VibeRant with False Reality Check with Legs and Buffalo. We had a good old time ranting and raving on the way that this system is being misused. For most people, a vast majority of people who are into the tarot, they would highly disapprove of the powers that should not be, and they're implementing these archetypes on for mass mind control. And so that differentiation is highly valuable. I spoke on it that night with the guys, and I just want to point out that that's part of what needs to be done here is we need to take these systems back and put them into their sacred placement, and not to vilify the system itself, but the people who are abusing it, the malefactors of wealth. So during that rant, I just briefly touched on the fact that we are shifting out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius, and that to whatever degree the pressure should be lifted off of Australia very soon in the media context, and we should see a new focus on Africa. And sure enough, it was only a day or two later that the Omicron variant was being portrayed as being birthed out of Africa, which I think a lot of people know what I think about that. But it happened on Black Friday. And Black Friday has a very morose historical origin, as it has everything to do with the slave trade and essentially getting discounted prices on your slaves on Black Friday. So having the Omicron come out of Africa on Black Friday, just right in sync with a shift from Australia into Africa, from Scorpio into Sagittarius, is very powerful, very, very powerful. And a lot of people are talking about the fact that Omicron, it has that crown. It is this is a new beginning. And in fact, in the sign of Sagittarius is the beginning point of the cycle of the Tarot-tories, as the Magician is card number 1. And he is holding his implements, and Sagittarius has that arrow, the pointing arrow, much like the injection for the next round of whatever devices they plan to insert into people. But also this Temperance card keeps coming up, and it's just uncanny how many times, Chance over on his channel has been pulling that Temperance card like there's no tomorrow. And he's right. I did fall out of my seat this morning when he drew that in his morning read this morning. So it's very powerful because we are just entering into Sagittarius. The Temperance card is oftentimes depicted with that medicine bowl, and temperance having to do with using a lot of discernment, abstaining from overuse, reticence. I love that word, reticence. And right now we are in Sagittarius under the sign of the Magi and the Temperance card, and having Omicron being birthed out of Africa is a sign of a new cycle of the bullshit meter should be going off the charts. But something that came across my headlines personally on Thanksgiving, right there as we enter into Sagittarius, I was having a discussion at my family dinner, and we were speaking of the panhandle and how there is a location just on the west end of Florida called Panacea, Florida. And that blew my mind. I actually had to leave the dinner table and go gather my thoughts and put together some images that I'll try to bring forward for everybody. But Panacea, Florida is a great indicator of this dividing line from Scorpion into Sagittarius. And I believe the Temperance card with her medicine bowl is generating a panacea, a cure-all. And so I looked up Panacea, the goddess of the miracle cure, and found an image of adults wearing wreaths of virtue and giving a medicine to a small child. And the child is drinking out of this medicine bowl. There is a matriarch behind everybody. And this is a woodcut image from 1716. And it absolutely blew my mind because just days before, there was a news article that was injected into consciousness of a group of doctors who had put a virtual helmet over a child's face, and they were injecting him with whatever. And the entire image was a one-to-one correspondence to the woodcut carving that I discovered when I looked up the goddess Panacea. And I found that absolutely profound as Chance and his episode with Michelle Gibson. They had just gone over the subject of sanatoriums and how the sanatoriums were a booming industry after the war. And it was essentially, an inevitability that people would need mental health and would be shipped into mental health facilities in mass. The size of these mental health facilities is kind of appalling. But a huge booming industry was birthed out of the war and the trauma. And they injected a word into the collective consciousness at that time, and that word was sanatorium. And Panacea, the goddess, is a matriarch of sanitation. And so all of these synchronicities were hitting me all at once in the last week. So I'll try to bring forward some of the graphics that I've managed to cobble together, and hopefully people will see the correspondence as the woodcut has these adults wearing wreaths of virtue. They have the signs of their virtue, their honorifics on their heads. And in the modern day image that was put into the media recently, the Associated Press, all of the doctors had their masks of virtue on. And the child is wearing a virtuous virtual reality mask over his entire head while they are injecting him. It's kind of alarming, but it's very powerful to see that, there is, this Associated Press is playing on epigenetic trauma. And if we don't learn from the past, we are doomed to repeat it, is essentially the message. So that's about all I wanted to put together. I just wanted to, show some functional application of interpreting the bullshit that we are told and extrapolating it from the truth of the archetypes of the nature of the place that we live in. So I hope that was helpful for everybody. Hit me up with some questions, and I'll try to link everybody with, the VibeRant episode that we did, and I'll try to get those graphics brought forward to give context to the points I'm trying to make. But one last thing. So I watched something that absolutely blew my mind. I'm very excited about the show Hellier, and I binged on the entire series, 2 seasons in 2 days, and it was kind of hard to stay in my seat because I'm pretty sure my Tarot-tory's map is going to be very significant in relation to the Hellier research. And if the opportunity comes forward, I really want to talk to those guys. I think they would find it very significant, as 37-degree latitude is my center line for my Tarot-tories. And it turns out I may have been a little off base in past installments. I don't think I mentioned that the 37-degree latitude is my marcation, my equator line, both for my world and my North America maps. This 37-degree latitude, as it goes right through the Strait of Gibraltar, right there at the tip of Spain and North Africa, and it also cuts right through Kentucky. Very significant. 37-degree latitude also corresponds to Afghanistan and the marijuana industry. It turns out some old roots from marijuana black market, they were sourcing their seeds from the Afghanistan and the Middle East, and they needed this 37-degree latitude correspondence to be perfect in the original place the seeds came from, and then they moved to Kentucky to cultivate those seeds. So right there is a geomantic ley line of the most powerful significance, that so much marijuana requires that 37-degree latitude light pattern of the cycles of the year. So I just wanted to put all that in the context of Kentucky being the center, the Fool card of my Tarot-tories, and how Hellier, the entire episode, is very much centered around and based in Kentucky. And one of these days, I want to get in those people's ear and lay out this Tarot-tories, because I think they would see that they are standing on a gold mine of occult significance. So if you haven't seen Hellier, go check it out. I think you'll see that we might have some overlapping information for one another to share and illuminate the situation. Much strength and wisdom, y'all. Peace and love.